Hi everyone, and welcome to the Sagittarius weekly tarot bite reading for the week of August 14th through the 20th. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot reading for Soul Illumination. So hi everyone and welcome. My name is Lauren. This is a quick energetic look at the week ahead for the sign of Sagittarius. So we're basing this reading on the two themes that came up in the general collective reading for the week, which I posted on my channel on Sunday evening. These two themes were Never-Ending Story and the Ten of Pentacles. So Never-Ending Story is us closing out a story that is no longer supportive of who we are and who we are looking to become, because we've outgrown it. And it's time to close the book on that story and get ready to open up a fresh book and get ready this week to write that first sentence. That is going to really be the hallmark or the energetic read for this next cycle for ourselves. So when we think of what that never-ending story might look like for us, that could be the story that we say we will always be the one abused by others. We are the ones that will never find ourselves a loving, committed partner in our life. We are someone who will always be overworked and underpaid. We are someone who is not athletically inclined, and we will always be the person who can't get our health in check, whatever that looks like for you. But there's a sense here of really being able to free ourselves from that, to finally put that book to rest and get into that place where we have an opportunity to step forward as a new, more empowered version of ourselves. Now, specifically, I can definitely say this week is really wherever that never-ending story is kind of coming through. That wounded part of yourself, or that part of yourself that I said that I will never be able to achieve this or do that, this is actually where your soul is yearning for new growth. This is where Spirit's trying to come in and say, you have an opportunity in this next cycle to finally expand in this level or break through limitations. So keep that in mind as whatever those kind of wounded parts are coming in, it's like, okay, that's where I'm being called to focus on in this next cycle. Because we also have the Ten of Pentacles, and this is building towards the future. This is the legacy we want to leave behind. This is the money we want to have in the bank, the house we want to live in someday, the lifestyle we would love to live in and share with others. This could even be ultimately the family that we want to hope to have in our life. But there's a sense of really getting clear on that now from a new perspective of this new, more empowered version of ourselves, or from the perspective of the new story we are now telling, where it's something that said maybe the past version of me was not athletically inclined, but this new version of me loves to dance. And this new version of me is going to pursue a hobby in that and make that my life's passion in this next cycle. Whatever it is, obviously we have stories that range from, much smaller like that to something where it could be, again, where we are literally breaking a cycle of abuse or victimization, which is always beautiful and positive when we have the ability to do that. All right, so we have never-ending story. We're going to first pull some cards, Sagittarius, around what is this never-ending story that you're finally putting to bed for yourself? You're saying, you know what? That was the old version of me, or that story served its purpose at a certain time in my life, but now I'm going to explore my life without that story in it. Okay, so we have the Five of Wands, which can be a card of competition. It can be a card of chaotic energy. It can be a card even where there's kind of too many cooks in the kitchen. Everybody's trying to have their say. But I love it. Five of Wands and the Magician. So there's a sense here of getting lost either in competition or getting lost in the chaos, where maybe your own magic wasn't allowed to shine. This could be where there's just a lot of stuff going on. This could be even like where maybe in your home life to date, there was just so much going on and you were constantly having to battle a little bit of a chaotic environment and you weren't able to focus on yourself. You weren't able to really harness the magic of what you uniquely bring to the situation because you're kind of just trying to keep up. This could actually be also, I feel like this came through for you guys last week as well. I can't remember honestly. But there's a sense here of maybe being overly focused in a competitive way, meaning maybe you felt like you had to rise to the top of your career path. Maybe you felt like you had to be the head of the household and be the one that kept it all together. Maybe you felt in the past versions of yourself, and we're thinking of never ending story. It could be that maybe there's a sense that every time you tried to really shine brightly out there, it created a level of chaos in your life, or there was a sense of having to go out there and really prove yourself. That's actually the message that's really coming through, is that you don't have to prove yourself in this cycle, Sagittarius. It's an interesting one. Very different message than I've gotten, I feel like, for many of the signs here, but there's a sense of it's time. You don't have to go out there and spar with everybody to see what magic you uniquely hold. You can simply just be at peace with the magic you have and you bring. You can stay out of the fight. You can stay out of the melee. There's a sense of really being clear as to the wand that you have, which represents your eternal flame. It represents your own unique passions and how you choose to take action from them or with them. And there's a sense of, you don't need to prove anymore what you're good at, what you're passionate about. There is just a sense coming up very intuitively, a strong story coming through, and I don't know if it's just for one of you or for maybe a few of you. There's a sense of having to feel like you always had to prove yourself. Feel like you always, every time you tried to bring your passion into the mix, that it's like you had to be the one that got in there and did it to the best of your ability, that you had to prove to everybody else that you were the best, or that your passion was the best, or that if you didn't, you were going to get knocked about. That there's a sense of like every time you came uniquely as yourself. Because when you think about our Ace of Wands, the Ace of Wands really is us. That is the flame that continually burns within us. It's our soul. And there's a sense of, it's almost like every time you felt like you had to go into a situation, you had to prove why it was okay to burn from that place. Or that every time you tried to show your passions, you tried to speak and just be your fiery, passionate self, somehow other people will come out and try to be competitive with you, to say like, oh, really? You're going to shine? Well, I'm going to shine brighter. Oh, really? You think that you're this great in this? Well, I'm going to show you that I'm better. There's something around that where there's like a competitive kind of clashing around you just showing up as the magical person that you are. And that's the story you get to put aside. You don't have to feel that way. I don't think you have to be competitive. If people want to be competitive with themselves, they want to challenge you, that's something that you can very easily just step away from. There's a certain level of confidence in this next cycle that's coming forward for you, Sagittarius, which I really like. Okay, let's see about the 10 of Pentacles. So we have, Justice. Okay. 10 of Pentacles. Justice can speak to, especially with the 10 of Pentacles, a contractual agreement to build something with someone else. This could be in a business. Okay, so we have 3 cards that came out. You have the 9 of Pentacles and the 4 of Pentacles. So there's a sense of really holding back, Sagittarius, here. The 9 of Pentacles says you're sitting pretty good. You're in a place of independence. Could be financial independence. You could have a home. It's a chance for you to really kind of stop and enjoy what you have, that maybe you have the chance to go on that vacation, you have the chance to decorate your home in the way that you want. But with the 4 of Pentacles, it's saying, but you're holding back, that you're not actually enjoying this 9 of Pentacles. You're not enjoying the money you have saved in the bank. You're not enjoying the home that you have, lovingly saved for and continue to decorate. Or you are not choosing to spend money going on that vacation, even though that's something you've always wanted to do. Now, with Justice coming up here, Justice is about, major rebalancing. Justice can actually represent, though, a contractual agreement or the making or breaking of a contract. So there's a sense here around either A, there is going to be a contractual agreement that comes up this week that's really going to force you to take a look at something in your life. Do you want to continue to commit to it, whether it's a job, or do you want to break that commitment? Now, this could obviously be any type of contractual agreement, including a marriage. It can be where you contractually agree to help your parents out, whatever it is. There's a sense here of, for some of you, there's been a holding back for some time, and it's out of the wounds of the past. Three of Swords. These are the thoughts and the memories that haunt us, that tell us we're not good enough, that tell us we can't do it, that says you failed in the past. And there's a sense now with justice coming in that this is a rebalancing of the scales, that where you failed in the past, whether it was in love, whether it was in work, whether it was you name it, you have the chance to rebalance it and now succeed or bring that into your life in this current experience. But it's going to ask you to not hold back anymore. There's a level of investment, of opening up. That's what it is. It's a level of opening up for you, Sagittarius. And I think maybe you've been in a place of restriction for some time because of not wanting to kind of get back out there. Because every time you got back out there, it was like, oh my God, this is too much. Like, why is everybody always attacking me? Or why do I have to be the one that goes out there and like rises to the top every time? There's a sense of saying, I think for many of you, the beautiful thing that you can learn from that never-ending story was that of what you learned about yourself, of the magic that you learn through direct experience as to what you can accomplish. That every time you get thrown into this kind of Five of Wands energy, you're like, okay, I learn a little bit better. I learn a little bit more about my wand. I learn how to wield it better. And there's a sense now that this 10 of Pentacles, you might be able to utilize your skill set now in a new way. This does say that you have a lot to be grateful for right now in your physical experience, but with the Four of Pentacles, you're holding back in some way. So for some of you, this is interesting. This could actually be where maybe you're being offered that position. This could be somebody coming to you and saying, hey, do you want to invest in a new business opportunity with me? And you're like, every time I try to do something like that, like, what if the person gets competitive with me? What if they don't like my ideas? The last time I did this, I failed. I tried to do my own business and I failed. But this is saying with justice coming in, there's a new opportunity. There's a new opportunity for balance and a new opportunity to, I think, right a wrong or right a failure that didn't happen, and you have this chance now to do so. But you have to be willing to open yourself up a little bit, to give a little, sacrifice a little, spend a little, and I think you're going to be amazed at what that brings in for you. Beautiful energy. I'm going to pull a final card here before to wrap this up. So keep two things in mind, Sagittarius, as you're really starting to take a look at where it's time to close an old chapter and start a new one. Really look at where you've been holding yourself back, where you've not been opening yourself up in the physical, meaning where you've not been allowing yourself to spend time towards something or spend money towards something or invest in something, where you've been kind of clinging, or where you've been in a comfort zone for some time. And also, where does the fear of kind of going back out into the mix feel scary because of your previous experiences there, where it feels like, I don't want to have to defend this part of myself. I don't want to have to do that. Okay, so you have three cards that came out here. We have Dolphin Spirit, This and That Are True, number 20, breaking down to the number 2. This is all about relationships and harmony between individuals. Antelope Spirit, Life is Speeding Up, also a number 2. And then we have Brown Bear Spirit, Take Time Out, number 9. And number 9 is where this is a number of endings. That's where we get the chance, the wisdom that we draw from that cycle that's coming to a close. We get to learn all those lessons and we get ready to apply them in a new way in the next cycle. I like that it says this and that are true. And then we have the two cards that really are this and that, right? It says life is speeding up, and then one says take time out. So there's a sense here when we think about this and that are true, that at any given point, both perspectives from two people or from a broader perspective or whatever can be true. You can be the person who is competitive but doesn't like competition. They can be both. You could be the person who needs to take a time out to process, but yet around you, things are starting to fall into alignment to bring a certain aspect of your life back into balance. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to ignore life speeding up to take a time out. It means that you can literally balance both. So there's a sense here of being able to balance both in this new cycle. There's a sense here of really looking at where you've been holding yourself back and where it's time to break out of a comfort zone and where you can let go of those wounds from the past. And it can be where this and that are true. You can have said, I had a difficult family experience growing up, but I also love and honor my family. Those two things can be true. We don't have to make it one or the other. So there's a sense here of really embracing harmony, embracing balance, and allowing that 10 of Pentacles, whatever that is for you, to really be harmoniously focused. What will bring some aspect of your life into balance, and where you can finally kind of release that combative energy, competitive energy, or where you're just afraid to get out there and get into the melee. It's saying, you've gone through enough to really know and know about yourself at this point. Honor that this and that can be true about you. You could have been the person who was a terrible public speaker back then. You can be a person who's a fantastic public speaker as of today. They can both be true, but it doesn't mean that the person today has to be haunted by the pain of the past. It could be the same thing in relationships. You might have been the person in the past who was never able to hold down a successful relationship, but it doesn't mean that the person you are today is not fully capable of doing so. So really keep that in mind. Those two things can be true, but they're two different versions of yourself in two different time frames. All right, I will leave it there, Sagittarius. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. If you'd like to book a personal reading, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website. Otherwise, the full tarot scope for each sign is up on my channel for the month of August if you'd like to watch yours. And if you would like to be notified when I do release my weekly and monthly videos and any additional content, feel free to subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. It makes this all worth it for me. All right. Bye, Sagittarius.